Hi everyone, it's Mimsy from mimsyandcompany.com. I'm going to show you how to thread a sewing machine. I have a Bernina 1120, just a consumer home sewing machine, nothing fancy. So I'm going to show you how to thread this. It's very similar. All sewing machines are very similarly threaded, so if you don't have this exact machine, your machine will be very similar to this. So you see I have cone thread sitting on my table behind my machine in a thread guide. I typically use that because I'll oftentimes use larger cones of thread, but you can just use a regular spool of thread on one of your thread pins on your machine as well. So the first thing that you're going to do is bring your thread down to the first thread guide on the back of your machine and guide it through that. And then you see I'm bringing the thread down into the tension wheel. And you can thread it either side of the tension wheel. It doesn't make any difference to the right or left of the tension wheel. And then down through another thread guide and back up into the take-up lever. That's what that is right now, that moving lever. It's called the take-up lever. So you put the thread in there. Then you bring it down into the needle case that holds the needle. Bring it behind the guide that's right above the needle. You see that there? It's like a little arm. Bring the thread in behind the arm, and then last but not least, you just bring it down into down the front of your needle and simply thread your needle. That little white painted part on the front of my presser foot is there so that you can easily thread your needle, so you can see the hole in the needle in order to thread it. That's what the purpose of that white spot is there. So that is it. That's how simple it is to thread the top thread on your machine. And I'm going to show you quickly how to thread the bobbin thread and take up the bobbin thread as well. And I'll also do at the end of this video, I'm going to just run through the top thread one more time. So you don't have to back up here. I'll do it one more time. So here I'm taking out the bobbin from the bobbin carriage, and there's a little lever on that, and you just pick up that lever with your index finger and it releases the bobbin from the carriage, the bobbin carriage. And then as soon as you let go of that little lever with your index finger, the bobbin will actually fall out of the bobbin carriage. See, there's the lever. And that, when you hold that lever out and the bobbin is inside of the bobbin carriage, that's what holds the bobbin in the carriage. It'll hold it there steady for you. So I'll show you here in just a moment. So as far as the way that your thread is in the bobbin, it needs to be threaded. You're going to insert it into the bobbin carriage with the thread clockwise. It's going clockwise. I always remember it as the thread is wound away from me, because when I put the bobbin into the bobbin carriage, I'm generally holding it like this where it's perpendicular to me, and so my thread is threaded away from me. You cannot have the thread threaded towards you. If you go ahead and put it in the wrong way and try to sew with it, you're going to get a bird's nest on the bottom of your fabric. So if you get that, you know for sure you've got your bobbin thread in the wrong direction. So just simply take it out and put it back in. So here I am putting the bobbin thread. You see that little notch in the carriage right there? You put the thread into that notch and pull it back towards yourself underneath that plate and into that hole. And that's threaded properly. And if your tension is set correctly on your bobbin carriage, you can let go of your bobbin and it'll just hang there. If it's too loose, it'll drop and hit the table. And you don't want it too tight as well. So if you try to pull on your thread and it rips, or it's just really tight, it's too tight. You need to loosen up that little screw that's on your bobbin carriage. So that needs to be properly tightened as well. So here I am putting the bobbin back into the bobbin spot there. I forget the name of that. Anyway, the carriage where the bobbin carriage goes. So you put that in there, drop your needle in manually. So you take your flywheel in your hand and turn it so that your threaded needle drops into the bobbin area. Here's another view of it. So I'm inserting the bobbin into Ooh, that's nice. In the bobbin carriage into the slot there. So you put it in there with that lever open, and then you slide that bobbin carriage in until that little arm fits right into that groove. And then drop your needle in, and you'll see how it pulls that thread up through the top of your sewing machine, and it's perfectly threaded. See how both threads are now coming up through the platform of the machine in between the feed dogs. So here I'm just giving you a rundown of the top thread again.
Thank you.
So you bring the thread either from your spool or your cone through to your first thread guide. That's your first thread guide. Bring it down into the tension wheel. You can go either side of that tension wheel. Makes no difference. Down to the next thread guide. And then, you know, into that thread guide, and then back up to the take-up lever, which is that piece right there. That's that moving take-up lever, and then down to where the needle is. And then thread the needle. And of course the needle, you can only put the needle in one way. If you have a flat needle, the flat side goes to the back. That leaves that groove in the front of the needle towards you in the front. And that's it. That's how you thread your sewing machine. It's quite simple. So make sure that you like and subscribe to this if it was helpful to you. And I'll continue to make some sewing videos. So thanks for watching, you guys. It's Mimsy from mimsyandcompany.com. See you next time.